has been awarded the 2021 Booker Prize for only the third time. Over the course of half a century, the Booker has established itself as the United Kingdom's top literary prize, and Damon Galgut is bringing it home. The Promise tells the story of the Swart family on their farm outside Pretoria over 3 decades. It was third time lucky for Galgut, who had been on the Booker shortlist twice before winning. He joins us now from London. Damon, I have to tell you, I was slightly anxious to interview such a clever, erudite, talented man, but I'm comforted by the fact that you too were incredibly anxious to be on the shortlist.
Well, yeah, and if you talk to me for 1 minute, you'll realize your anxiety is unfounded. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Thank you so much for talking to us. The Promise is really about promises that were never met. Post-apartheid South Africa, a promise to a housekeeper that was unfulfilled, and over the course of 4 funerals. How did the story idea come about?
Really through talking to a friend who was telling me about 4 family funerals that he unfortunately had to go through, his own family. But it struck me that as a literary idea, it would be an unusual and interesting way to approach telling the story of a family's history, and by extension, some of South Africa's more recent history too.
I mean, you've been likened to Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, William Faulkner, but how much recognition do African writers actually get abroad, and how difficult is it for them to get the kind of accolades that we deserve?
Well, it's been a very good year for African fiction. A number of major prizes, including the Nobel, have gone to African writers this year, so that might be a sign that we're finally getting that attention. You know, it's something of a misleading premise to say that the West has to pay attention to African writers when, in fact, a lot of our own countrymen don't pay attention to them either. What I would hope that this prize and the Nobel and the various others that have gone to Africans would do is, you know, bring attention to African writers at home. We don't have to be validated by being published and celebrated overseas to be read, you know, by South African and other African readers.
Damon, you're a dedicated yogi. What is your writing process, and how painful, if at all, is it?
It's a mess from the outset. I'm not disciplined in the way that some writers are. I take a very long time to work up a good obsession, but I do get there eventually. Yeah, you know, first draft is a very messy affair, very murky. I don't really know what I'm doing, but once it's all sort of mapped out on the page, I can start to pull it together, and then some pleasure does enter in, you know, drawing everything together, structuring the book, kind of sharpening your themes, all of that is pleasurable.
Just take us through the night of the award and standing there. I saw a photograph of you with the other shortlisted authors, and what is that moment like when your name gets announced in the Oscars of literary, you know, kingdomhood? It's really a massive moment. Must be overwhelming.
Well, yeah. I mean, as you pointed out, I've been on the shortlist a couple of times, so I fully imagined this would be my third time to be close but miss. So it came as a real shock. I wasn't expecting to win. Yeah, I guess in the way of all great shocks, it was kind of numbing and disorienting. It was a bit of an out-of-body experience. I have no recollection, really, of what I said on the stage that night. So, yeah, it's good to feel a bit more human and, you know, back down to earth by now.
Yeah, it kind of goes in a blur sometimes, those moments. What next for you? I mean, what do you do now? How do you beat this one? Or do you not even try? You just carry on plugging away and wait for some sort of inspiration?
Well, I mean, it's the same old business of, you know, writing. The blank page awaits. I mean, this is all very nice, but in the end, it's a massive distraction from the work. So when life returns to normal, I expect to return to my desk and, get on with the next one, whatever that may be. It's not clear to me just yet.
Well, Damon, out of all the bad news that we're having here, from load shedding to a poor election turnout to COVID, you've given us some joy. So thank you so much. And we hope people go and buy the book. They really should. That was Damon Galgut, South Africa's third ever winner of the Booker Prize.